Brenden, he's the founder and owner of Rockstar Communicator and Master Talk, the YouTube that airs new every Sunday. Brenden, thank you for joining us in Vegas. How's it going?
Well, first of all, congrats on the first year anniversary, man. It's a big feat.
Yes.
So amazing. So I'm still out here hustling, but I think I'll still be hustling, even if this thing has millions of subscribers. But what I will say, I would say for the 10,000 mark is probably the one where you start to get a little bit more love from YouTube. Let's put it that way. It was a
love, listeners. Welcome. Visit Vegas Places. Listeners, happy 1 year anniversary for Visit Vegas Places. Last month marked my 1 year anniversary. I definitely came a long way for season 3. Definitely a long way from having my guests repeat their social media handles prior to the actual interview. I want to thank you, DJ Scoop, for that feedback. And I've actually decreased my from 1,000 per show to 100 per show. So thank you guys for hanging in here. And I'm trying my best to decrease it a little more. But remember now, this is a live conversation on my podcast. So it is live and raw with all business owners and entrepreneurs. So I don't chop and dice it up and make it perfect for you guys. So it is definitely live. This is how it is. Now, my best practice I can give to you is to share is to keep listening to yourself, communicate to become a better communicator. And you got to continuously study yourself. And just when you have the opportunity to do that, definitely partake in studying yourself, how you communicate, to better present yourself to others, especially those that are listening and learning from you. Now, my guest today, he's mastered the art of communication. He operates a coaching business to help execs and business owners become top 1% communicators in their industries so they can execute their game plans and see success evolve in the workplace and companies. We all love that. And he has coached many executives from companies like Salesforce, Amazon, IBM, Morgan Stanley, Blue Cross. The list just keeps going on and on. You get the picture. Audience, let's give a warm welcome for Brenden. Okay, Brenden, he's the founder and owner of Rockstar Communicator and Master Talk, the YouTube that airs new every Sunday. Brenden, thank you for joining us in Vegas. How's it going?
Wow, you even know my posting schedule, man. Well, first of all, congrats on the first year anniversary, man. It's a big feat.
Yes.
So amazing and great to be here, Coyle. Thanks so much for having me, bro.
Appreciate it. I was looking you up and everything is, you have so much wisdom. You're a very interesting man, and communication is my key. Of course, I have a podcast, all for talkers, and you hold the key with teaching talkers how to talk better.
I'm the gatekeeper.
Right. So you got to let me know, did the YouTube channel, the Master Talk, did that come first or did the business come first? Which came first?
Great question. It was definitely the YouTube channel, actually, Coyle. So I'll tell you the story. So when I was in college, university, I went to business school, and the goal was never to be an entrepreneur, brother. That was not the point of my life. Education is the way out for most immigrants. So I had a nice 6-figure corporate job waiting for me out of school. The goal was never to be a YouTuber or any of that nonsense. Basically what happened was I started competing in these things called case competitions when I was in college. Okay. Think of it like professional sports, but for nerds. So while other guys my age play basketball or baseball or football or something you wouldn't see me playing, I was doing presentations competitively. That's how I learned how to speak. But then what happened was as I got older, Coyle, I started to coach the students in the program, that competition thing, so that they could get better at communication too. So it was really an accident that I got really good at communication. And the idea for Master Talk, I just realized that everything that I was sharing with them wasn't free. So I started making videos on it and turned into something I never thought it would.
Wow. Now, what would you say was the timeline, from seeing that, that slow rise, from that organic rise to, that everyone's noticing you now? How long was that hump that you had to get over, and how did you get over it?
100%, brother. You mean the YouTube channel specifically, right?
Yes.
Honestly, dude, I still do, and it's very kind that you say that, by the way. I still don't think people know who I am, right? That's why I'm still out here hustling. But I think I'll still be hustling, even if this thing has millions of subscribers. But what I will say, I would say for the 10,000 mark is probably the one where you start to get a little bit more love from YouTube. Let's put it that way.
Right.
It was a hustle, brother. I would say it took me 2.5 years to get to 10,000 subscribers.
Okay.
So my channel doubled in the last year, but it took 2.5 years just to get to that 10K mark.
Wow.
And here's my advice always, and then we can go through the challenges that I faced.
Okay.
I'm a big believer that if you want 1,000 followers, you need to be willing to have 1,000 conversations. And to be quite honest with you, Coyle, I don't care if your podcast has 1 listener or
Right.
1 million listeners. For me, it's this interaction that matters between us, and I'll tell you why. And Kevin Kelly talks a lot about this too in 1,000 True Fans. If you got 1,000 people who really love what you do and they share it with 10 or 15 other people, you'll get your 15,000 subscribers and you'll grow from there. But yeah, I definitely sucked at the beginning. I had no money, no budget. I was making videos out of my mom's basement, where I still live, by the way. And I only went professional probably a year into it.
Okay. All right. Well, you see that timeline. Now that's motivation right there. You see how long that takes right there. So it's not no overnight, and you're hearing it right from his mouth. It's never overnight. What are some main components now that you do have a workshop? I noticed. What are some of the main components do you have in place to operate a successful workshop online or even a YouTube channel? What are some of the components that you know that you would need in place?
100%, brother. And the other piece before we get to the components is the point that you made around overnight successes. You're absolutely right, brother. I find a lot of it is so wrongly, it's not well represented in terms of how people get successful. Like, I'm 26 currently, which is definitely a young age, but I started I was 19. I've been in this game for 7 years now. I'm only starting to get success now. So it's definitely been, and I'm still not there. I'm still getting a lot more left to go. But yeah, man, to quit my corporate job, it took pretty much 5-6 years of grinding my face off until I finally made it work. So that's the piece I would make. In terms of the process for workshops, what I would say, and this really comes back to a principle I always like to share that I got from Christo. It always goes back to what is the definition of value. And what Chris talks about, Coyle, is that value is tell me something I don't already know. Tell me something I don't already know. So when you share ideas on a podcast where every time you speak, people go, I never really thought of that. I didn't really think of that either, or that. That's when you start to develop something more unique. So in my workshops, what I try to do is I always ask myself when I'm preparing for them, what is the information that even the best communicators on the planet wouldn't know? And that's why I draft it so that it's helpful for everybody.
Wow, I like that. And it's effective too, which is the main thing. You want to make sure, like you said, it has value. Speaking of value, which you do build in most of your clients, what do online presentations and speaking in public have in common?
Online presentations, speaking of absolutely. So I would say let's start with the commonality, then let's jump into the difference.
Okay.
So the commonality is it's a way for us to share an idea. But the difference is the medium of how we share it changes drastically. So there's 3 key differences to keep in mind in the online world. The first one is eye contact. So when we're doing eye contact in a in-person setting, you're moving your head around to the 6 to 8 to 10 people that are in a conference room. But in an online presentation, whether you're looking at 1 person or 10,000 people on a screen, you're only supposed to look in one direction, which is the camera lens. That's how you give the illusion that you look at everyone directly. So that's number 1. So you can put your favorite family, your family, which happens to be your favorite one, hopefully. You put it next to your camera lens. Put your favorite food. You could also put a nice sticky note that says, look here or else. That's a fun one. Right. So that's the first one. Second tip is energy. Let's face it, Coyle. At the end of the day, it's a lot easier to show up with energy when we're in person versus in the virtual setting. So what we need to do is we need to get better in person. We need to double the energy that we have in person and take and transfer all of that as much as we can virtually. That's the second piece. And then the final piece is accessibility, brother. and specifically to our audience. When you're in person, it's easy to get lunch with people, get their feedback and stuff. But when you're online, like on a Zoom call, the conversation ends very abruptly. So you need to force that
Right.
interaction, get on calls with people essentially.
Hmm. Well, I never thought of it like that. That goes to the question I had too. And I knew I was like, you know what, he's perfect for this. Where you just spoke on it. Now, do you feel um, being an effective public speaker starts in the privacy of your own home or with your family and friends?
Ooh, that's a beautiful question. Do I think communication starts in the privacy of our home and our friends? I believe so, because I think that this is where we see the most impact. It's also the least threatening environment to practice in. So what does
Mm,
that mean? I'll give you an example. I'm sure you're going to ask me this, but I might as well tell you now. Like exercises to practice. So one of them is the random word exercise that I teach people to do, Coil. So
okay.
that just means pick a random word, and you've clearly done your homework, so I know you know the drill. So like a phone, like camera, like eye contact, like wall. You pick a random word and you create a presentation out of thin air with no preparation. And what this does is it helps us with the following. If you can make sense out of nonsense, you can make sense out of anything. And that's
Mm,
really what the random word exercise helps you to
mm,
do. It builds your resilience. But what's nice about your question is with family members, with nieces, nephews. I love doing this with kids, especially my
right.
clients as kids when they do it with
Hmm.
kind of like their nieces and stuff. It's
Hmm.
fun because they do it better than the parents do, and it kind of embarrasses them a little bit.
Right, right. I always, well, in my corporate world as a trainer, I always used to tell the associates to listen. If you never leave a room regretting you should have said something or you should have asked something. And I said there will be scenarios as you train yourself where you will leave the room and it'll come to you right away, like, man, I should have asked how much I'm going to get paid, or I should have asked when are the raises, or I should have asked is that other position open. Soon as you think of that, go back in there. Why would you keep going on torturing yourself? Turn around ASAP and ask whatever you're thinking. And I always train that, and you can practice it at home at all the times. Like even with my wife, it's like, okay, this is still there. Should I ask that? And then you are what you tolerate in a kind of sense of that.
100%, brother.
Yes. Now, educate us on your live interactive workshop. You have Rockstar Communicator, and you provide personalized coaching to improve your communication skills. Enlighten us.
For sure, brother. Happy to. So I do a free workshop every few weeks on Zoom. It's like 90 minutes. I facilitate it. It's fun. It's not some boring webinar where you're just sitting there doing nothing. Though you can come on it and just listen to it. But most of it is really I'm coaching people on the call. I'm giving practical exercises. We're talking about communication goals, how to set up meetings effectively. We're going to do the random word exercise as well. And if you want to register for that, it's absolutely free. You can just go to the website rockstarcommunicator.com and just register for one coming up in a few weeks.
Yes, sir. I love it. And just let us know, what book are you currently reading right now?
Yeah, absolutely. You'd actually be surprised to hear, Coyle. I'm actually not good with books. I actually listen to a lot of podcasts. I don't read a lot of books, but I'll give you my best book recommendation though,
Okay.
which is Thirst by Scott Harrison. So if I recommend a book, it means it's worth reading because I don't read books. So if I'm reading it, it means it's worth every page.
Right.
And Scott Harrison is the CEO of Charity Water. It's a nonprofit he started to help people gain access to clean water. But the reason I mentioned Scott's work in the context of our convo, this
Mhm.
guy's a master storyteller. I don't think I've ever seen anyone as good as
Mm,
him. And he's a great example of how somebody practically used a lot of the strategies we talked about today, like the random word exercise, and
okay.
he applied it to be an exceptional storyteller. And he's raised like hundreds of millions of dollars now, and he's impacted over 15 million people and
Mm.
gotten them access to clean water. So yeah, he's absolutely genius when it comes to messaging and
All
branding and
right.
storytelling. And I highly
Okay.
recommend the read.
Like that. I like that. Yeah, I have a question. A question as far as from business to business. Like with your platform and your workshop that you do, how is it? Do you funnel, the your clients, your audience to even come there for the workshop, or do you get the organically do other platforms per se, LinkedIn, Facebook, or these are events that you're going to? How, if you have a best practice, do you funnel them to the the workshop page?
Yeah, great question, man. So you'd be surprised to know that podcast guesting, like my YouTube channel, is actually not the main source. Yeah, sure, there might be a couple of people who might join the workshop, but the actual best way is asking my existing clients to invite more people. So what I do
Mm.
essentially is I take my top 100 clients, let's say top, and obviously that list is growing because I ask them every year, every 6 months. It's not just a one-time thing because these are people I've gotten the results for, right? They're
Right.
raving fans or people who have me on their show. They know like I'm credible now that I've spoken. They go, oh, maybe I'll send like 2 people to his free training or something. And what's effective about the strike, because I don't pitch on that free training. We just have like a free call for people who want to ask us about our services, but there's no pressure. But the
Okay.
reason we do that is strategic as well. Because if you pitch on a free training, you go, buy my thing, your free training is no longer referable.
Mm.
Ah, so what happens, Coil, is every month, I mean, I already have like 200 registrations or something for my
Hmm.
trainings this month, and
Okay.
I didn't spend a dime on those. And the reason
Oh.
is because my clients, 50, 60 people, they
Mhm.
bring 3 to 4 people every month to those trainings because they go, well, yeah, Brenden got me the
Wow.
result. I want to bring everyone. So they bring, so that way they're not pressured. So it's not like, okay, I need you to bring me a referral because sometimes they might not have somebody, right? Even if they
Right.
really want it. Because a lot of my clients are introverted. They won't necessarily bring, but if I say, hey, bring free people to a free training. I mean, there's no strings attached. People are gonna be like, yeah, of course. Boom, boom, boom. They start giving out like Super Bowl tickets, and a lot of people end up coming. So that's the main way we actually funnel people in.
Wow, I love that. I thank you for that wisdom because I was wondering on because my platform is a little different, and when I was going through your platform, I'm like, he doesn't even have to post that much or even half as much as I do, and you have this organic following. And I was like, I have to find out, because you can't get burnt out after a while. I was like, dude, what am I not doing wrong? And also, I wasted money, a whole previous year on ads that didn't add up or didn't
Yeah.
correlate to my goal that I was trying to reach. Of course, it gave me a good exposure, but at the end of the day, it didn't reach that goal that I was trying to reach.
Correct, brother. And since we're talking business, I might as well give you some advice. Never ever spend money on ads if you haven't maximized organic reach. Like if you're not posting daily on Instagram, you're not posting daily on LinkedIn, you're not leveraging TikTok or any of that stuff. I spend $0 on ads, even with I'm doing pretty well now, like multiple six around.
Okay.
But like I don't spend a dime on ads because I'm not ready yet. I still haven't spent enough on media, and I'm not posting on daily on Instagram. That's free traffic. So I would start there, and also the existing people that you work with, and depending on the business that you have, those are the people that will advocate. Because at the end of the day, let's say you charge, I don't know, let's throw a number. Let's say you charge, I don't know, $1,000 for something, whatever it
Right.
is. If you get 100 people who love you to death and you deliver like a king and you get them the result, you're making 100 grand a year,
Right.
right? Which is
Right.
pretty good. And if those 100 people are bringing 2, 3 other people, I mean, you do 200, 300K next year easily with literally doing nothing.
Right, right. With just a simple, shift. I mean, that's what I call a shift. And the shifts are always simple because we're sitting here trying to think big and we didn't even think to shift, like just shift back to your regular crowd. Go back
Go with
to
the people who believe you.
right. Narrow it down too. Yes, sir. I do appreciate that, Brendan. Smart man.
Of course,
Brendan,
brother.
let my audience know all your social media handles on all platforms and how can they contact you?
Yeah, absolutely, brother. So for social, I like to keep it super simple. The best way to engage with me is definitely YouTube and LinkedIn. So YouTube, just type, it's super simple, Master Talk, and you'll find me pretty easily. In terms of LinkedIn, though, you can totally DM me. I answer all my DMs. I'm just hard to find because my name is really messed up. So it's Brenden Kumarasamy. If you can find how to spell that, you can definitely. You're more than welcome to send me a DM. That's what, and I'm on IG as well. I think my handle there is Master Your Talk. I don't post a lot on IG. But if you send me a DM, I'll 100% respond to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Also, LinkedIn. I have just reached out to you on LinkedIn. I saw you respond real quick, real quick. I like the last name though, so don't get it wrong. That last name cannot be duplicated. It's like my first name. It's like it can't be duplicated. We know who Coil is. There's not another Coil, so there's not not another Brendan. So that last name stands out. You ever thought about making a business with just the last name?
Yeah, I've thought of naming my channel my name a while back, Coil, and I realized that you know what, Master Talk's probably easier to spell, and it's
Right.
easier for people to find me,
Right.
and it wasn't trademarked, so that's probably the big one. Obviously, now I have a trademark under my name,
That's
but
right.
yeah, I got
That's
lucky
right.
there.
That's right. All right, man. I appreciate you, Brenden. Now, before we let you go from the show, we're going to have to get into this or that, where we give the audience a more personable side of you, where I give you 3 sets of 2 different options, and you just give me your preference. And then last, we're going to see how very, very Vegas you are. All right.
Let's do it. Do I have to explain why for this or that, or do I just say it?
Oh no, you just tell me that, this or that. It leads to conversations half the time. I try to pick things that I try to judge my guests. Like, let me see if these are the options.
Sure, let's
But
do it, brother.
most of them are trendy topics. All right. So the first one, this or that. When it's time for you to take notes down, I know you take a lot of notes. Are you old school paper or direct to device kind of type?
Direct to device. It's easier to find the notes that way.
Gotcha. Okay. See, I'm still old school, but I blended into, and I find I have the best of the both world, but I get a little more messier because I do both.
Yeah, I discontinued the old school method a long time ago.
Right. That's why I gotta at least have a device up or a computer open. Because if there is not one, I'm gonna find the first paper and start, writing it down. All right. So the next one now. Hey, you dress pretty clean. Your Instagram is jazzy. I love. Yeah, I like your wardrobe, man.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah. How tall are you?
Not very tall. I think I'm like 5'6".
Okay.
5'7", and all credit, by the because I don't know how to dress myself quite. I always like to say this publicly. It's my designer. The guy who does my videos, is really good with suits, and we don't spend a lot of money on those gears. It looks like I spent $1,000 on those sets.
Yes.
No. Dude, a lot of that stuff is thrifted. My jacket is like $150 Canadian, so it's like 2 cents American. Wow. And my turtlenecks are like $20-$30, bro. Like H&M. Wow. That's it. You don't have to pay the part. You just got to look the part.
I'm looking at it. I'm like, this guy owns a couple of casinos.
Nah, man, you just got to look the part.
That's right. All right. So the last one, I think you already answered this one. Now, when you're trying to get your news, do you prefer TV or podcast for your news?
1,000,000,000% podcast. I don't trust TV, man. I don't trust what's coming out of NBC and all that stuff. I listen to one podcast from a couple of really rich people who kind of disagree with each other and talk about the news, and that's that's my only source of information.
Oh man, I love it. Give me some podcast recommendations. What do you listen to?
Yeah, it's called the All In Podcast by Shamath and Jason. So it's basically some of them are centimillionaires, some of them are billionaires, but basically it's like 4 guys shooting the shit who are really, really smart. But what I like about that podcast, it's not like the most intellectual thing in the world. What I appreciate about them is that they disagree with each other often. So it's never one agenda. It's always like, this is what's happening. And then you have like one guy for Roe versus Wade, the other guy was against it, and they're kind of talking amongst each other. That's really what I like about it, because nothing's always 100% factual. So I like the fact that they go back and forth, and they're all super smart.
I like that. Yeah, that does sound interesting right there. Now, what platform do you find yourself using to listen to your podcast?
Yeah, you'll find this interesting. I'm definitely in the minority. I use an app that a lot of people don't use. I use Castbox.
Okay, Castbox. I heard of them. Yeah. I actually started to use more regularly Good Pods. I don't know if you heard of Good Pods. No. Yeah, so Good Pods is pretty good. The search is real good too. Mostly everything is in there that's on the other platforms also. Yeah. I like kind of the apps that you can comment on, not the ones you gotta wait to review. And Good Pods that you interact with the creator, which is real cool.
Interesting.
Right. Yeah. So try it. Yeah.
I use Castbox, and that's interesting. Yeah, I have to check that out. I use Castbox because of the search engine. So what I do a lot, Coil, is whenever I listen to somebody and I want to learn more from them, I can search them up quickly on Castbox and go through episodes to see what they've guested on really, really fast. Versus with Spotify, it's messy. Like the UI is messy, and I don't see the logos, and it's hard to scroll through. But yeah, I use Spotify for music though, but podcast is definitely Cast.
All right. Appreciate that, Brenden. Now we're going to see how very, very Vegas you are. When the last time you've been to Vegas?
Never, actually. Never been to Vegas.
Oh, we got to get you out here.
I'll
We do.
definitely be there eventually. I was supposed to go there for a conference or something, but I skipped over. But I'm 100% sure I will go to Vegas at some point in my life. There's just so many conferences there.
Exactly. And then you have somebody out here now, so you just won't be out here wandering.
There you go. You'll help me navigate the craziness of Vegas.
One thing they'll bet you it won't rain, and that leads to this question to see how very, very Vegas you are. What is the average total annual rainfall in Las Vegas? And I give you a multiple choice, though. So
okay. I was like, dude, you're not helping me.
I know. I give you a multiple choice. So again, what is the average total annual rainfall in Las Vegas? Is it 8 inches, 13 inches, or 4 inches?
Can I phone a friend?
You can. You can use a timeline. A lifeline. No, it's a lifeline, is it?
Yeah. No, I would phone a friend and ask you for the answer, but or maybe I'd do 50-50. But basically, I mean, I'm just guessing here, brother. I would say, let's guess A.
8. That was a nice one. It's actually 4. We get.
No, I said
4.
A. I said A.
Oh, A. So yeah, A was 8. So A was 8 inches.
Oh, I screwed up.
So we're gonna go with B with 4. I mean D. Yeah. So C would be 4 inches. So we actually get 4 inches annually, and that's probably giving a little 1 more inches than what we recently have. It's probably less than that. It never rains out here, buddy. Never.
Yeah. I'll take my L.
Brenden, man, I appreciate your presence. Before we get out of here, let the audience know all your social media handles and the website for the Rockstar Communicator.
Of course, brother. Such a pleasure to be on. Thanks for having me, man. So yeah, for the free trainer, for those who want to jump in on that, it's rockstarcommunicator.com, or you could just check out the YouTube channel as well, which is Master Talk in one word.
Yes, sir. And audience, I want to thank you guys for joining Brenden and I. Definitely, we will see you guys next Friday. You could have tuned in anywhere, but you tuned in right here. You guys take care. Much love and peace. And Brenden, I appreciate your presence, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
You guys take care. See you next Friday.